So look, if you want to grow your wealth, your income, and increase the amount of time off, then these are the shortcuts that can help. Welcome to the Wealth Creation Podcast. And good morning, everybody. It's Dan Latto speaking. It's the 8th of April, 2019. So it depends when you're listening to this. It might be in a couple of years from now. Who the heck knows? It could be that you're listening to this live. It could be that you're listening to this tomorrow. Who on earth knows? Who says time travel doesn't actually occur? It's really funny because I was thinking about podcasting and about some of the podcasts that we've done, that actually time, or rather the date over a period of time. So one of them was about the 2016 general election. So this is probably about when I started doing the podcasts anyway, back in June, I think I started doing them. So obviously that was going on at that time. And then there was another one about Bitcoin. And obviously Bitcoin's dropped massively, although it had a 25% increase last week. So if you stopped looking at Bitcoin because you couldn't see a way to take advantage of it, then you probably stopped too soon. There are always advantages to take somewhere, either by going short, betting that the price is going to go down, or by going long, buying Bitcoin, let the price rise, or betting that it's going to rise, whichever one of those kind of ideas actually works. But in this podcast, I want to talk to you today about how you stop your leads from entering the dead zone. So this is a concept that we used to use in our lettings agency. And the concept basically says that if you get a phone call coming through from somebody who, let's say, wants to rent a property, okay? So you get a message that comes through. And the way that we used to get messages was we didn't hire receptionists or people who answer the phones or none of that malarkey. We never answered phones in the office. We actually paid an outsourcing agency, and we paid them 50 pence per phone call, 24 hours, and we spent about about £750 a month on these calls. So we were getting about 1,500 phone calls a month. That's a lot of phone calls. Now, if we were to hire someone just for those phone calls, well, we'd probably need to hire two because of the level of phone calls that we're getting. Because if they're on the phone and a phone call comes through, they can't then answer the next call, so we would miss it. But at least when we outsourced it and it cost us 50 pence a call, they would always have like 10 or 20 staff that could answer each and every call. It works really well for us. Plus then we didn't have maternity or paternity or no holidays and all that kind of thing. Because every 12 people you hire, you have to hire a 13th that we call a floater. A 13th has no productivity value whatsoever. It just covers people who are on bloody holidays. So every 12 people you hire, you need a 13th to cover those people having 4 weeks holiday every year. Anyway, so the way that we did it, a call would come into that, we would get an email through, and then our lettings staff, good morning, James, our lettings staff, they would receive the email with the lead on it, and then if they didn't call that back and the person then phoned back the next day, the second lead would come in, and we would go, well, hang on a minute, this lead came in yesterday, it's not been phoned back. So the dead zone refers to the amount of time that you leave it for calling a lead back. Now, there's a specific reason why you want to call them back almost immediately, okay? So, but before I explain why you want to call them back almost immediately, let me just go step back a little bit, because I want to just explain a little bit more, because it used to wind me up. A couple of things are happening here. So a second phone call came in because they hadn't got their first phone call. So first of all, that cost me an extra 50p. Now, I'm a tight northerner. And as a one-off, the 50 pence is okay. But when you start to get 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 of these a week, £5 a whole week, it used to really wind me up. And there's a bigger picture going on behind that. The bigger picture was, we're not just losing 50 pence a week, we're losing, 10% of £1,000 property for the next 5 years, because that's how long that person might rent for us for. And it used to really annoy me. So I would always be getting on at the staff going, guys, you've got to hit these leads up. You've got to get them. As soon as they come in, you've got to get them and hit them up and make sure that you're not losing these leads. Now, the reason why this is so important is, let's think about this. And by the way, we used to notice peaks Friday, midday, Friday night, Sunday night, Monday morning and Monday afternoon were the peaks for people viewing on our website. Now, I put this down to the fact that you get to the end of the week on a Friday, you've been at work, you hate your life, and you think, I know what, I'm going to move, and that'll improve my life, and then start looking at rental properties. I think this is what people do. So they do that Friday afternoon, Friday night, maybe Saturday morning, and also we would never do viewings on a Saturday morning because people are like, oh, we'll go for some wine, it's looking like this, I'm going to look at a few fancy pads, They had no intention of actually renting anyway. They weren't in the frame for renting. And what was really interesting was if someone says, I'd like to view this flat, I'd like to view it Saturday, and we go, no, we don't do Saturday viewings. And they're shocked and amazed that we don't do Saturday viewings because we don't close stuff, right? But they're shocked and amazed, and they go, well, I'm only available on Saturday. That's fine. If this property is only available 12 o'clock on Friday, make it or don't. It's completely up to you. We can do 6 p.m. Friday, but we're not doing Saturday. Suddenly, very miraculously, turn around and go, oh, yeah, well, I can do 6 o'clock. Now, think about this. What's happened is their ideal time was Saturday. They've just qualified themselves in to actually wanting this property because now they've had to move some stuff away in order to view this property. Whereas on Saturday, if they're not qualified at all, they're just looking at flats. It's something to do, having a bit of wine, going round, doing it before a night out. It's crazy. So we just wouldn't do it. But they're qualifying themselves into how serious they actually are on this property because now they're having to move stuff in order to suit with us. Obviously, this didn't appreciate everybody, and that was fine. They could go rent from some other muppets like Morgan's or Hunter's or whoever in Leeds City Centre. The number of times that we would go in and go, we've rented that place, can we have keys? Oh, no, well, we've not been told. Well, I've got a landlord on the phone, here he is. Oh, well, I don't think we've got the keys. We'll have to look for them. Yeah. Of course. We know what you did. It's like silly, childish games. But let me tell you why you want to be returning these phone calls almost immediately. So if I'm phoning up for a flat, let's say, it can be anything. It can be a car, it can be coaching services. Let's just say it's a flat for now. I'm phoning up and I'm going like, yeah, I want to view this flat. I want to view it as soon as I can. I'm eager to move. Okay. In my mind, I want to see it as quick as I can. I'm eager to move. Great. Put the phone down. I go make dinner. I go watch Netflix. Netflix didn't exist in those days, but we had the CDs that you sent through the post. But I go watch the CD that have been sent through the post. And I've spoken to my mum and dad. They put me in a bad mood. I've organised football over the weekend, whatever, right? I've now done like 5 or 6 things since I made that phone call. Since I was in the frame for renting a property, I've now made 5 or 6 phone calls. And so after those 5 or 6 phone calls, guess what? I am not in the mood for renting a flat. I was an hour ago when I made that phone call, but I'm not anymore. And so you've got to get people while they're in the mentality of, yeah, I want to rent a flat. Because if not, that's what we call entering into the dead zone. The longer you leave it, the deader the lead gets. The longer you leave it, the deader the lead gets. And so you've got to get people whilst they're in their frame of mind. So let's take another one. Let's say you do relationship coaching. You just had a massive Barney with the missus, and you're like, right, that's it. I'm done. I don't want this anymore. And then you're like, oh, I better get some help. So you phone up a relationship coach, and you're like, yeah, I need to come and see you. And they take 2 days to come back to you. And in those 2 days, arguments happen, things get thrown, you end up on the street, you're out of the house. There's no going back from that, right? All because the relationship coach took 2 days. Whereas if the relationship phone back in an hour or an hour or two, and we go, okay, just stop what you're doing, get out of the house, don't do anything else, don't say anything else. Let's put an intervention in here to stop you saying things that you might regret later, because once these words are said, you're never going to take them back. Do you see the difference? Like, on one, you've lost that client forever because now they're contemplating murder or divorce or separation. And on the second one, you've actually saved them from saying things that would lead up to that, and you've actually saved a marriage just by returning a phone call, right? Like, I know this sounds really extreme, but this stuff happens every single day. I leave a message for someone, and it takes them a week to come back to me. It doesn't make any sense. And one of the biggest perpetrators of this are estate agents. Yeah, you phone an estate agent, yeah, you got that house, and like say, well, we can't fit you in till a week on Friday. What? A week on? No, I want to see it tomorrow. Oh, no, we're very, very busy. You're not busy. I know you're not busy. I know that the market's completely down at the moment. No one's selling anything. What do you mean you're busy? You laid everybody off? What's going on? Well, we've got a lot of viewings. Right, yeah. So let me not look at this house. So now, in the meantime, while I'm waiting for a week on Friday, I'll go look at another house, and I go, oh, screw it, I'll buy that house instead of that house. Like, that's the dead zone. What are you doing, estate agents? It's not just estate agents. It's all sorts of people. This is why having a mechanism in place so that when a lead comes through, either you or somebody else in your team is going to handle that lead, even if it's just a holding call. Hey, Dan, I noticed you were looking after this house. Let me just explain why we can't view it. I'm just trying to pull it forward for you. But honestly, we've had Bill's been off and Suzanne's ill as well. It's just me holding the fort. I really want to do this viewing. So if one cancels, I'm gonna book you in if that's okay. Can you view it at short notice? Like suddenly, I'm loving this guy now because he's actually taken the time to come back to me. He's still not solved the problem, but he's taken the time to come back to me and just resolve my anxiety about not being able to see this house, right? So as long as you've got a mechanism in place that will manage this process, then you should be fine. Like there's nothing better than going, you want to view it tomorrow? Well, I'll finish at 6, but I'll do it at 6:30 for you. I've just moved some personal stuff around, but I'll do that because how serious are you about wanting to maybe buy this house? Now you're into qualifying process, but you can ask that question because you've told them that you're giving up some of your family time, right? So I'm moving some stuff around. Just tell me, how urgent are you to see this? Is this one that you're seriously contemplating seeing, or are you just looking around just to see what it's like? Because in which case, a week and a half's fine. But if you're actually really keen on buying something like this, I'm more than prepared just to move some stuff around so that you can get in to see that property. Now, and if you've ever read Cialdini's Powers of Persuasion, that's one of the 6 powers right there, which is reciprocation. I'm giving something up for you here so that you can view this. So let me know, are you serious about buying this? Yeah, okay, so let's do it. Now when you get on the viewing, they know you've given up some family time. They're going to rush around it anyway, but also they're now seriously contemplating, actually, I don't want to let this guy down because I know that he's let up some family time. When Imperial Cancer, and you get those envelopes and we have the little pen in them, and if you read the book Powers of Persuasion by Cialdini, you'll read this, and I don't know the exact stats, but something like 10 or 13% increase on donations when they included a pen in the envelope. And it's because people opened the envelope with a little pen in there, which cost like less than a penny, I'm sure. But now they're like, oh, they spent the time writing to me and giving me a pen, and now I feel guilty, so I better add some extra into the donation that I'm about to make. Doesn't necessarily increase donations, but it increases the amount per donation, if that makes sense. It's one of the reciprocation, one of the 6 powers of persuasion. But you can see how this works, and you can see how you can formulate this into your overall plan as to how you want to operate. Like it could even be, like for those people who are working full time, who can't just answer the phone, go get yourself a call center to answer the phone for you. Not one of those that rings 4 times on your mobile and then redirects, just like go straight there. And then they can answer the call for you. And then they can go, yeah, he's at work, he's on meetings, he's in meetings all day. He's actually off this afternoon, but he's back in the office first thing in the morning at 8 a.m. Can I get him to give you a call at 8 a.m.? Because I know he's got meetings through the day from 9 till 5 anyway. Like, the person on the other end of the phone won't know anything. And then they'll go, well, no, 8 o'clock's too early, I'm dealing with the kids. Great. What about 12:30? Knowing that that's in lunchtime periods, I could make a phone call then. So then the person goes, yeah, that's great. They would never know that person is in full-time work, right? If you're starting a part-time business and you want to do it, but it's because you've got a mechanism in place that would manage this process. I'm a great believer of having mechanisms in place for almost everything, from answering your calls to setting up your email marketing, right through to podcasting. This, like, I got my coffee, I've had my shower, I'm on a podcast. Every weekday, Monday through Friday, I've had my shower, got my coffee, I'm on a podcast. And then after that, I'm getting a couple of other podcasts ready to post out. And then that's it. That's my early morning, it's 9 o'clock. That's my morning routine to get me into the day. So if I do nothing else, I've got a podcast going out every single day. And when I'm driving in the car, I put my phone in the holder, and I will normally record a video so that we can have podcasts also going out. Podcast replays, these are going out Fridays and Saturdays as well, because I only do 5 in a week, so I have to get another 2 videos from somewhere, right? So that's how we do it. But there's a mechanism in place, a thought through, consciously looked at mechanism that is designed to get me a particular result. Yesterday, Was it yesterday? Not yesterday, but the day before yesterday, which was a Saturday, which is unusual. That Saturday was the highest we've ever had for podcast downloads, which is unusual because it's on a Saturday. Normally it's a Monday through Friday. But like you see the podcast going up and up and up. So it's like, if there's one thing I need to do, it's going out and doing podcasts. There's a mechanism in place. My early morning routine, 9 o'clock's early for me. My morning routine is one that is pre-decided because that's a word, that I'm going to go do these podcasts. So what is your mechanism for handling sales calls? And if you haven't got one, you need to think of one. And if you haven't got time to answer a call as soon as it comes in, you've got to get someone to speak to that person, could be the call center, who's then going to start setting expectations. Good morning, Des. Just about to finish. But you've got to have a mechanism in place for sales calls, because the longer you leave the response to the inquiry, the deader it gets. Right, I hope that's useful for you. We're back tomorrow, bright and breezy. My name's Dan Latto, and we'll catch up with you in the morning. Take care. Hey, it's Dan here. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate each and every one of you. Please click like or subscribe to the entire podcast.